welcome, broadcasting to the entirety of the Super Smash Bros. Community. This is Beyond the Metagame. I'm your host, Peon, this week live from Hades. I'm joined, as always, by wonderful co-host, Abhi. Abhi, how you doing, big guy?
Dude, I really want to eat those apples, but I'm not gonna, because we'll be stuck down here forever.
What is that, like the apple of Discord or something?
Yeah, it's like the apple that Persephone eats, and then I think she's just stuck with Hades forever.
You ever
He's a
read?
cool
Yeah, he's underrated. He's definitely he definitely has a bad reputation, but I don't think it's justified. Have you ever read like the Percy Jackson books?
Oh my god, my favorite series for so long. I think The Lightning Thief is probably my most read book.
Really? How many times have you read it?
An embarrassingly large amount of times, like at least like 20 times. And I'm not even joking. There's like people who say that they've read a book that many times, and
Yeah.
I actually have. I think every corner I think I've dog-eared every corner in that book.
That's so funny. Yeah, I like that book a lot. The movie adaptation is tragically terrible.
What? Let's not go there, dude. we
Yeah,
don't talk about that.
It's nice to talk to you guys. And for the people at home, thank you so much for joining us this week. We're just getting over the summit. You know, last week we talked about it. I definitely watched it this last weekend. So other than watching the summit, what did you do this week, Abhi?
I went to my local, but before that, I helped N64 Josh and the guys over at the Smash Bros. Cast run their tournament, and I got to commentate. And Josh actually made me enter.
Oh yeah, and then you know, how do you perform, Abhi? How do you perform?
Yeah, so I won. It was a lot of fun. It was actually a really well run Wi-Fi tournament, and we got some nice commentary. And you even jumped in to help us commentate top 8. That was a lot of fun.
It was a pleasure, man. I was watching you compete. It was like an 80+ person tournament, and you know, you ended up coming out on top. But I was saying on the mic, I'm like, yo, if Abhi loses this, he's off the show. I'm finding another co-host. But you held it down for Beyond the Metagame, so thank you, my man, for doing us proud.
Yeah, I kind of didn't have a choice. You put me in a hard position. But speaking of hard decisions, I went to a local and I had to fight against a Pokemon trainer, and I was struggling because I really wanted to play DK in every matchup, and I've been like toying with the idea of using Wolf a lot, and I really wanted to, but I stuck with the DK and I got destroyed. I mean, he's a very, very talented player in NorCal, but I think I have a lot of thinking to do about whether or not there's certain matchups that I want to use Wolf for, and I know I'm always kind of going back and forth on this. But
I think you should, dude. I think you should pick up a secondary before it's too late, before you get too set in your ways. Like, honestly, I think you should. I think you're being stubborn. Like DK has some bad matchups, bro. You need something to cover it.
Yeah, man. I agree, and I have been putting the time into the Wolf. It's just a matter of whether or not I bring it out in tournament, and I just have to pull the trigger. So I think that's where I'm at, and
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
It just goes to show you, like, even we struggle with the stuff all the time. It's just we just have to take our own advice, and it helps because we both talk to each other and we kind of force each other to get out of our comfort zones, like he's telling me to do now. So I will definitely make sure to use Wolf to the fullest when possible.
I will say this: the fact that you're not going to the Wolf, kind of intuitively, to me at least, suggests in part that you aren't excited about it. If you're not excited about it, maybe try a different secondary. I don't know, like if you're not having fun with Wolf, I think you'd want to play him more.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think he's really cool. I just really like DK. You underestimate how much I like DK. DK is just like, he's just so cool to me. But in any case, enough about me. How was your week in Smash?
It was great, man. It was great. I won a local actually today. As of the time recording, I just got back from it. And then I had another local. I didn't do super well. I got 5th. I was the 2nd seed, so I played kind of under my seeding. But the people that beat me were playing really well, and I have no Johns. It was a lot of fun. And so yeah, man, it's been really clicking. The Wolf's coming along. My Inklings never felt better. I actually played some Cloud today for a little blast of the past, and
Ooh, okay.
it was fun, dude. It was fun. So I've been getting out of my comfort zone. Today I played 6 or 7 different characters in bracket.
Oh, that's a little wild. That's
Uh,
good. I like to hear it. All right.
it was fun. But yeah, man, it was great. So before we get into this episode, AV, I want to talk about the fact that this is your solo show. I wasn't involved with this one. AV, I told you I was like, man, not really feeling it this week. You're like, hey, man, well, I got it covered from here. And I actually haven't even heard the episode yet.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. I mean, it's not really. I didn't really try to copy what you did because I think you're really good at telling the kind of story that you told. It was awesome. So I just kind of did my own soliloquy on what made BTM special for me and why I was motivated to start this podcast with you and why I love helping people.
Yeah, man, I'm really excited to hear the episode. I don't want to say too much about it now. Like, let's just let it speak for itself. I want it to be untarnished for the listeners. But AV, before we get into your solo episode, I want to do a little bit of quick housekeeping. There has never been a better time to join our Discord. We have a lot of cool stuff going on there. A lot of friendly people that are always looking for games, talk about whatever, talk to AV and I by voice or by text. And AV, we have a certain Discord exclusive tournament that's happening this weekend, don't we?
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. One of our fellow Discord members is helping set it up, and it's open to literally anyone. All you have to do is join our Discord, and you can enter in. It's going to be a Wi-Fi tournament, and if you've entered any other online tournaments on Smash.gg, it will be exactly like that.
Yes, and the winners, we haven't selected the prizes specifically, but I don't know, AV, what do you think? Some eShop cards?
Yeah, we'll get some eShop cards.
BTM Hall of Fame status.
Peon's secret Snapchat.
You can get access to Peon's vault of nudes.
Yeah, get some exclusive Derek merch and poster. No, I don't think we can do that. We can't do that.
An autographed Michelle Obama GameCube controller.
Oh my god, that would actually be worth a lot.
And speaking of merch, guys, a reminder: we did launch the BTM much requested merchandise. The links to our Teespring will be in the show notes and the YouTube description as well. But AV, I think without further ado, we just go to your episode.
Yeah, man. I had a lot of fun making it, and I hope you all enjoy it.
How do I feel about being a member of the Information Society? That's a difficult question because I didn't know we were in the Information Society.
Hey everybody, AV here. Today we're going to be doing something a little different. You see, I can't rely on the vivacity or the wisdom of my usual co-host Peon. But I do want to tell you a story that only I can tell. Today I want to talk about building a community. The entire point of me creating a podcast and my motivation for it was to find another way, another avenue to help people out. I spent the large majority of my time in the Smash community trying to figure out more ways to help people. And today, I want to show you how I got here. So, to set the stage for what the environment of competitive Smash was like, in Santa Barbara. It wasn't devoid of people who cared. It was just kind of the small community that was doing its best to put on local events every week. There was limited leadership in the sense that there was one guy who ran all of the tournaments. He just showed up every week, took everyone's money, and he was fairly consistent. He didn't necessarily go above and beyond, nor was he expected to. And everything around advertising, expanding the region, developing new players was kind of just expected to come naturally. And I came in about kind of halfway through the time that they were doing all of this, and it was cool. Like, I'd never played any competitive game before, let alone a competitive Smash game, and I just came in and I thought I was good. Of course, I went through the normal experience of getting destroyed like everyone else does when they come into this game. And I'm a very competitive person, so it ignited that fire in me. And what I'd do is I'd go over to everyone's houses and I'd play them. I know we've talked about this previously in the podcast where it was kind of put in this light where I'd go and download everyone. But I don't know if that's really the right frame that I want to be putting that in, because I legitimately enjoyed hanging out with everyone. It was something that I absolutely loved to do, and the community of people in Santa Barbara were some of my favorite people to hang out with. So I went over to everyone's house. I hung out with everyone. I got to figure out how everyone plays. I got to enjoy all of like the different character matchups. And at the end of the day, I was improving. I was becoming a pretty well-known competitor as far as my region goes. And I wanted more. The thing is that it's cool, like, if you're the number one player in your region, or if you're number 2 or 3. But then after that, it's like you need something more to supplement your identity. And I realized that there was no one else that wanted to take leadership, that wanted to step up to the plate. So I literally went and asked him. This is like kind of an indication of how much of a system there was. I kind of went up and asked him. I was like, "Hey, can I take over when you leave?" and he said, "Yeah." And that kind of started this massive path of growth as an individual and growth in the community. So after this period of where I just tell him, you know what, I'm going to take over when you leave, I'll just do it. And he didn't really give me any guidance. He just said, yeah, which is really more than I could ask for. He didn't give any resistance. He didn't ask me to submit like an application. He just kind of gave it to me. And that kind of leads us to the era. Like I kind of call it the vape era. It's like the vape nation. Like that's like the period of time. That was like the very first tournament I ever ran. It was a event that was coveted and it was loved by so many people. And it's kind of interesting to go into why. We had a pretty small space. Like one of the people who worked there reached out to me, said he wanted to run events here, and I say, you know, this is an awesome opportunity to kind of get into the event running space, because I just been handed the reins of taking over SB Smash, at least Smash 4, and the thing is that we just had it one day. We just decided to get water, pizza for people, and just advertised it, made sure like we got a decent amount of people to come, and then the first one we got like I think 19 people to show up. And that's how it was for like the first 3 or 4 weeks. We'd have 19 and then maybe 22 and then 24 and then 26, and then we kind of realized, wait, why are people coming back every time? And the thing is that the most important thing that I was doing was every time someone would come that was new, I'd spend about 5 or 10 minutes just hanging out with them, asking them how their day was, and playing some friendlies with them, and making sure that everyone felt special, everyone felt validated, and also that the older groups, the old guard, played with them. And this kind of like continuous integration is absolutely important to building any community. And it's kind of the cornerstone that, like, if someone were to ask, like, why was AV able to build a community and to have this kind of effect in the region, and they'd probably point to something like that. Not to kind of like play myself up a lot. It's just true. I spent a lot of time with people. There were a lot of times where I would go out of my way to make sure that people could come, to make sure that people would enter. I would pay for people's entry if they couldn't enter, because for me the most important thing was that I want people to play. I don't want anything to get in the way of community getting together on this day. And it was really important for me. It created this sense of pride in the sense that I had built this. This is a cool creation. Obviously, it's by nature of a community. It's not mine. I don't own it. And I think I came to terms with that eventually, at least. And after going through about a few of these tournaments where we had like 20 and then 30, and we started to get to 40 people, I had a huge sense of accomplishment that was associated with this tournament. And we started having a stream. We started increasing the TO presence. We started messing around with side events. That was probably the period in the biggest period of time where we would have the most diverse side events, which people loved. There was so much about that tournament that went well. The stream was managed well. It had good assets. We usually ran bracket on time, although there was some growing pains with that as a TO. And we eventually got a lot of setups and a lot of presence, especially from out of region. And this transitioned into this kind of rocky era where we lost it. I mean, we lost this tournament after the owners just tried to double the rent on us. And we just couldn't pay the venue fee anymore. Obviously, we were charging, I think $5 for the venue fee. I think maybe even $10 on some days. And for a lot of people, this was too much. And I don't blame them, because especially for people who just came out and went 0-2 or 1-2, paying this much for an event where you didn't get pizza every time and all you got was really water and maybe soft drinks, it wouldn't have been worth it. So making people pay $20 or even $15 is really out of the question. So it kind of transitioned into this like Bronze Ages of sorts, where we had another venue. It was a great venue provided by the Jewish Association that was kind of tied to the school. It was in this little town next to UCSB, which is called Isla Vista. And we'd hold our tournaments in this Hillel, and we'd have this awesome massive space. We'd have a massive microphone to talk to everyone, but it wasn't the same. It didn't have that wonderful homely vibe. It didn't have a sense of family. It just didn't feel as close. Maybe I'm just saying that because the room was at least like 10 times as big, but there was this sense of loss that came with losing that very first tournament. It was very much like a firstborn child to not just me, but a lot of the people that contributed to it, that went to it. and you can hear us always talk about it, which is really funny because we've always talked about those times where like people would be blowing vape clouds in your face, like the customers would come in and they would be trying out all the different flavors, and then tournament matches would be going on. It would be really funny. There's just something. It's just the story about nostalgia, right? Nostalgia sounds so much better when you're reciting it, and when you're looking back, all these moments seem precious, and that's okay. I think that's okay. Going into this next period, there was a lot of responsibilities that were placed on me. I had to direct the PR panel. I had to start setting up for bigger events. I had to make plans for Arcadians. For those who don't know that terminology, an Arcadian is a tournament where PR players or ranked players are unable to enter. And after running a bunch of events in this Hillel, I decided to hold a really, really big Arcadian tournament. Now, obviously, for most people who live in like a big metropolis or a place with a very active Smash community, an 80-person tournament or a 100-person tournament isn't that big for them. It's just kind of like an extra big regional, or just like, or maybe in some cases a local. But for us, this was by far, by like an order of 2 or 2.5, the biggest event that we'd ever run. And running this 80-person tournament was definitely this step. It was a step in a direction that I'd never been in. It was unseen territory. It was kind of me going into the big leagues, or at least as far as I'd known. And in terms of growing a community, and in terms of getting to this point where I had consistently got people to come back to my events, I got people to show up. We had this like core of wonderful players, wonderful people. Most importantly, I was absolutely blessed with some of the best people in the Smash community. And it was kind of this stage where, okay, I wanted to put on a show that wasn't just for the people who always came. I wanted to do like a mass marketing thing and get pretty much everyone who played Smash casually and just had like the smallest inkling of competitive spirit in them to show up to this thing. And we did. I did a lot of marketing where I'd message people individually. In fact, I messaged about 40 to 50 people individually. I sent out Google Forms to make sure that everyone had pre-registered. I messaged about 20 people individually to make sure that they were bringing setups. And at the end, our setup count was 18, and for an 80-person event, that is absolutely incredible. I did a lot of this work, and the thing is like what was the motivation behind all of this? And the thing is that building a community and putting on events like this was just another way to just amp up my ways that I could help people. I mean, it's like people got competitive about the PR, and obviously I was too. I mean, I still played competitively as I was TOing, but I didn't like things to stagnate. I like changing it up. And that's something that's really important with any community. After you've gotten past this phase where you've built up a decent amount of people, you've made sure that they've all felt comfortable with each other, and you've created this wonderful environment for them to be themselves. You kind of get to ride on that for a bit, but there is some like something that will always be nagging at you, and it's like, can I do more? At least that's how it was for me, and that's when I was like, okay, no, we got to go bigger. We got to do something more. And that's when we kind of get into this age of how do I create a larger core of people. And that was the introduction into the Central Coast. The Central Coast, at least now, is geographically, the way that we describe it, is this collective region of Santa Maria, Santa Barbara, and San Luis Obispo. You can go look at it on a map. in California. It's kind of a nice little, probably about like maybe a 70 or 80 mile span that covers a decent amount of people, but more importantly, grabs 2 other really thriving Smash scenes. And I got together with one of the San Luis Obispo tournament organizers at one of their tournaments. We'd often go out to their events, and they'd come to ours, but there wasn't any consistent interaction. And I overheard them talking, and I was like, "Hey, we were thinking about making this bigger region," and then like it clicked in my head immediately. I was like, "This is it. This is how I make my impact." And I walk over to them. I'm like, "Let's do it." I just said we're doing this, and literally the next day we had a community group up. We had ideas for what we were going to do with the PR. We'd formed a PR council, and within the span of like a month, we'd unified this like ridiculously disparate region where people weren't necessarily hanging out with each other. People didn't. They had this like there was like this innate rivalry between the regions, which still existed, but we became more of a family. And I mean, that's just being able to have an impact like this and being able to not only help the people in my region, but to help people in others and to help my region expand and get more experience with other players was incredible. And in terms of the context of what I wanted to do, and kind of I've set this up because I want to show you like why is it important to me to help people in the Smash community, and I just keep wanting to increase the magnitude of people that I can reach. And things for like 5 or 6 seasons, we had this wonderful thing going on where we had a PR panel. We even created this like really complex algorithm that we'd use to give us our first draft for our PRs. And we'd have like this set of really complex and well-defined metrics for attendance and for how to value certain tournaments. And it was absolutely everything I could have wanted. It was this beautiful like soup to nuts like crazy setup that only like the most like diehard of like Smash fans would even create for the region. And it was something that was a team effort. One thing that I struggled with a lot and still struggle with in certain aspects of my life was handing off responsibilities. And if you guys didn't hear from a previous podcast about this time where I overruled a PR panel, you should go hear that story. Peon talks about it in this season, and he kind of just talked to me after that, and he said, "Dude, you have to split up your power." I think he tried to pull some kind of overthrowing the bourgeoisie kind of thing, but it was literally just me. I had strangely, because everyone had trusted me and I've been doing an okay job, I had all this power, but even I realized that this is kind of ridiculous. I'm doing the event planning, the organizing, the marketing, the setup, the teardown, the running the event, and I'm competing, and it was ridiculous. Oh, I did the PR panel too, and obviously I mean, Smash wasn't the only thing going on in my life, so I mean, I'm motivated, but there's at some point it's just unhealthy. So I started training 2 other people, and I got to teach them bracket management, PR management, event organization, and conflict management. And this was kind of my first step into creating the foundations for how the community is going to last without me. And there is this egocentric view where you don't want the community to be able to last without you because it shows that you weren't necessary. But I don't think it matters. And the thing is, when you start looking at your leadership in your community or leadership in any community, it's very transparent when someone is not genuine about it. Someone who has genuine dedication for something is very self-evident. And there's people who get into these positions of power and make decisions and actions that are only to reaffirm and like self-validate their power. And I wanted to make sure that I wasn't getting into that. I wanted to create some sorts of checks and balances so that we can have a system where it's just not my voice and my direction. And even though it seemed to have been okay up until that point, but I think perspective and knowing when to delegate is one of the most important things I learned, and is something that I have used till this day. And so I had them take over for me when I left for the summer, and that was when things really took off. One of them, Elizabeth, she did an incredible job in just being a TO, and she was very consistent. And she's the one who's running UCSB Smash today. So I was really happy that I was able to convert at least one of the people that I trained into someone who's consistently running events. But to my surprise, even the other person, Jake, who I'd trained, kind of went off and do his own thing. Even he was TOing for a bit, but then he realized he had this awesome skill for event creation, event management, and for pushing directives and creating a vision. So he went and started Gold Coast Esports with another one of his friends, and that's the premier esports organization in the Central Coast now. So being able to delegate and pushing people into leadership positions is probably one of the most important things that you can do. Because, am I going to take credit for either of these two people's accomplishments after me? No, of course not. This is not my. I've been limitedly interacted with a lot of the stuff that they've done. But it's cool. It's cool to see that you helped start the spark, which ignited their passion for helping the community as well. So making sure to create a leadership that is full of people that are genuinely interested in the community. I actually think that's like way more important than any other quality. Obviously, there's some natural qualities with leadership, things about punctuality and organization skills that are necessary for doing anything, but it's very obvious when someone isn't genuine about wanting to help people. It's like those people in high school that would just get all these volunteer hours just to put on their applications. And the thing is it's so obvious that you're just doing this to play the system, and it's fine. I think that's okay. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I did it, but when you talk to someone, you can definitely tell whether it was for that or whether it was because they were using this to further their aspirations or their career or something that they truly believed in. And that kind of leads us to today. It's BTM is just an extension of what I've wanted to always do, is to help people and empower people through through introspection. It's so funny how that's turned into a meme, and it's so funny. But why? The one time that Peon had to do an impression of me, all he could think of was me introspecting on a couch. and I've never introspected on a couch. It's usually in a dark hallway. But I think that's like what I love to do with people, is just to figure out their problems, whether it's in the game or outside of the game, and use that to help them reach whatever their goal is. And Beyond the Metagame is purposely titled because we don't actually truly care if you become the best like actual player that you can be. It's whether you can have the healthiest and the most fun relationship with the game while also being a competitor. Because if being the absolute best player that you could be comes with the loss of like mental stability or just being unhappy all the time, it's just going to be an overall net negative experience. And through talking to many people in the community and through having these conversations over and over again with so many different people about very similar topics like burnout, like choosing a character, like quitting the game, you eventually just create this like bank of ideas of like situations that you know how to help people in. And I wanted to be able to help the most amount of people possible. And if you think back to one of the episodes where I just sat down with Peon and said, hey, let's go through all of these things about choosing a character and just playing armchair psychologist, that's what I did with people. That's what I've been doing for the last 3 years. And when Peon contacted me and said, hey, let's create a podcast about Smash, it made so much sense. It was a no-brainer. He just said it one day. It was completely unprompted, which is actually the majority of how Peon works. Well, it's like all of his ideas and all the things that just happened in this show, like I can guarantee you like 3/4 of them I didn't know about until he just randomly said it on the show. And I think that there is a lot of value to having and surrounding yourself with people that are very different from you. And that is, if anything, the most important advice I could give about building a community and about creating this wonderful environment for yourself, is that you're going to be surrounding yourself with all of these people, and you want to make it as diverse as possible. So being as inclusive, being as welcoming as you can is one of the things that'll not only help you grow the greater Smash community, but also help you grow as a person. And that's more or less it. I mean, what's next? It's taking this platform that we have and trying to affect as many people as possible. And I hope I get to continue to do that.